Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to say thank you for coming to our presentation today. Let me introduce myself and my group. My name is Adinda Kharisma, and in our group there are Adinda Anugrah Putri and Della Rahmattia. And then today we will like to present about English strategies for junior teaching. Uh, thank you very much for your great attention. May all those we have served be beneficial for all of us. Okay, to shorten time, the presentation will be begin by Della Rahmattia. For Della Rahmattia, the time is yours.
Well, thanks to the moderator. The first part contains the abstract. This paper discusses reading strategies for junior English teaching, design reading training methods for different teaching stage, and discuss the function and characteristic of pre-learning modes to improve student English reading ability and self-learning ability. Studying the reading habits and reading strategies of junior high school student and cultivating student semester reading strategies is a very important issue in the current junior high school English teaching, which was very important practical significance. More and more junior high school English teachers and students have begun to pay attention to the importance of English reading and put forward higher requirements for student English reading ability. And then the introduction in this paper is studying the reading habits and reading strategies of junior high school student and cultivating students to master reading strategies is a very important issue in the current junior high school English teaching, which has very important practical significance. On the other hand, in running English reading, teaching mode is single. The classroom contains consolidate the content of learning. As a result, the classroom reading teaching mode is single. The classroom content is very boring, and they really take the initiative to cultivate student reading strategies. In the traditional English reading teaching, most of the teachers focus on the teachers when explaining the reading topics. At the same time, the reading teaching of junior high school students is limited to textbook, and there are few extracurricular reading materials. Therefore, under such circumstance, there is very little content to promote students to practice English reading as an important part of basic knowledge of English language. English reading is an important way for students to acquire knowledge, accumulate vocabulary, and cultivate thinking. Therefore, the reading range is not wide enough and the reading volume is insufficient. Therefore, it is particularly important for students to develop their reading ability. Although some students spend a lot of time and energy on English, and even let reading comprehension occupy most of the time in the exam, the reading results are still unsatisfactory. In other words, reading is not simple extracting the meaning of the text, but an interactive, flexible, and purposeful process between the reader and the written language. Introduction reading is not only to get literal meaning, but also to extract the meaning of the text, so as to understand the deep meaning behind the literal. The teachers only translate the reading comprehension articles and complete the topics. It is also the most basic means of English language learning and use. Thank you.
Thank you, Della, for your presentation. For the next presentation will be presented by Adinda Anugrah. For Adinda Anugrah, the time is yours.
so much, Charisma. Um, Reading training, the cultivation of reading speed is an important task in reading teaching. In the process of reading teaching, teacher can use the form of judgment questions, multiple question, taking notes, and filling in charts to test the student reading. In addition, the teacher introduces the methods of reading, scanning, and skipping to the student for fast reading. Before reading teaching, teachers need to guide students to research relevant materials before reading, or students can actively share their background's knowledge. Reading training, the traditional reading teaching, is inefficient and separates the students' English background knowledge from the content they read, which is not conducive to the overall understanding of the articles. After the student have captured the surface information, they have a simple understanding of article and their reading speed has been trained. In teaching feedback, teachers ask students to look at specific details in the articles and to find out the key points instead of reading words by word from beginning to the end. After the reading teaching is complete, the teacher requires the student to retell or imitate the article through the understanding and learning the text, background, and other aspects so as deepen the impression of the reading. In the whole reading process, students do not need to accurately identify all the words, but they read the cycle guessing, verifying, modifying, and continuing to infer in order to cultivate student fast reading habits and reading comprehension ability. Teachers should be introduce themselves through the introduction of suspense, visual introductions, story, video, music, and other ways to attract students' interest. Students can adjust in time according to evaluation results and strengthen the training of weak links in the readings, so as to make up for the lack of reading learning. A clear presentations and introduce can reduce the difficulty to a certain extent, thus experiencing a good reading effect. Next. Learning mode. 3.1 Differentiated teaching. Is it necessary to construct differentiative courses and teaching to make school education adapt student differently and fully reflect students' subjectivity, including structured teaching, mixed ability layered teaching, and subject layered teaching? Differentiated learning meets in the diversity and unique educational needs of students, improve the equality of education, and develops their potentials. Students with lower level can improve to a higher level through continuous learning, while students with higher level will degrade to a lower level if they lack of learning. Differentiated learning refers to the design of differentiated teaching contents and process and the implementations of individualized teaching evaluation based on the different basic abilities, interests, and learning styles of students. During of the layer learning of English, teachers should formulate and design different teaching objectives, put forward different learning requirements, and carry out different teaching operations according to the syllabus and student basic knowledge, intelligence level, learning ability, and behavior habits, so that students at different level can choose different speeds and acquire different knowledge information according to their existing level. And then problem-based learning. Problem-based learning is a teaching method that stimulates students to learn and explore problem-solving methods. It is create meaningful contextualism and real-world situation and provide necessary help for students in the process of using knowledge and developing problem-solving skills. As students need to think according to problems, they will build their own knowledge system and thinking in order to realize this kind of teaching mode that is student centered, problem oriented, and give full play to students' initiative. And students need to analyze and solve problem by themselves or team cooperation. Teacher no longer purely teach knowledge but take problem as the beginning of teaching and take problem as the motivation and stimulate students' learning interest. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Adin, for your explanation. The next presentation will be presented by me. Inquiry learning begins to become a recognized education method. Inquiry learning emphasizes student independent inquiry rather than passively accepting the learning of teaching contents of teaching materials. Inquiry learning with the vigorous promotion of the basic education reform. Junior high school English teaching has begun to pay attention to the learning methods of mutual cooperation and joint discussion among students. including how students explore what kind of injury activities related to them and how to effectively carry out these activities. Therefore, when dealing with a certain problem or thing, students need to actively collect information and find answer with the help of the external environment. The activity mode is mainly around the question, raising problems, solving problems, student learn everything they need so as to promote diversified development. It has the characteristic of initiative, practically openness. Okay. For the next is conclusion. The promotion of student psychological factor has greatly increased student interest in English reading. In the process of English reading, group cooperation and group competition can be used to meet the student psychological desire to show themselves. And the teacher affirmation and praise can further promote the student initiative in learning. At the same time, English teachers should create teaching value in a limited time so that student can actively find problem in English learning. English teacher create reading situation for student and put forward problem to be solved. The curious of student arouses their enthusiasm for reading. Teachers should also actively guide students to broaden their horizon and learn freely. Conclusion: the basic motivation of learning is driving force. The student have enough time and actively organize and guide student to complete the reading task so that student can play the ability of cooperative inquiry. Okay, that's all from our group. Thank you so much for your attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.